Jordan, and welcome to another math lesson. We have learned about flat shapes and solid shapes, and today we are going to be looking at both flat and solid shapes. So our math thinking job today is I can identify and sort flat and solid shapes. So first, we're going to review our flat shapes and our solid shapes, and then we're going to sort them. First, let's look at our flat shapes. We learned about our flat shapes. Flat shapes mean you put a shape down. For example, this book is a rectangle. I put my rectangle down. I can see straight across it. I can glide my hand straight across in a flat shape. You can glide your hand across. Versus a solid shape, you might see a flat shape face on a solid shape. So we learned about a rectangle is a flat shape. We know a rectangle is a rectangle because it has 4 corners, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 4 straight sides. We learned about curves and we learned about straight sides. Rectangles have straight sides and they have 4. They have 2 long and 2 short. We also learn about the flat shape of a square. Remember, you can take 2 squares and make a rectangle. The difference between a square and a rectangle is its straight sides are all the same size. There are 4 straight sides on a square, and you know the shape is a square because the sides are all the same length. It also has 4 corners, 1, 2, 3, 4. We know a rectangle and a square are pointy shapes. There are no curves. Let's talk about this shape. This shape is a circle. We know this shape is a circle because it has curves. There are no straight sides and no circles or no corners. It's just curves. Then we have the shape of a triangle. We know a shape is a triangle, a flat shape is a triangle because it has 3 straight sides and 3 corners. A triangle is a pointy shape. Now that we reviewed all of our flat shapes, let's look at our solid shapes. Remember, solid shapes will be objects that you see around your classroom, at home, at the store when you go shopping, even when you're walking around your neighborhood. So let's look at our solid shapes. We have the sphere, which can be kind of tricky just looking at the picture. So we know a sphere is round all the way around. Sometimes we can get tricked with the flat shape of a circle and a sphere. Remember, a flat shape, you can glide your hand straight across and it'll slip down. If I try to glide my hand across this sphere, it's going to stop because it's not flat. A sphere has no face. It's just round. It can roll. Remember, it can roll. Whoop, right off my hand. This is a sphere. We also learned about a cube. A cube has how many faces? 6. We learned a cube has 6 faces. What flat shape is the face on a cube? Right, a square. Remember, we can take 6 squares and make a cube. Then we have the cone. How do we describe a cone? We can describe a cone by 1 point at the top and 1 face at the bottom. What flat shape do you see at the bottom of a cone? You're right, a circle. We see a flat shape of a circle at the bottom. However, if I stand this cone up on my hand, I know this cone is a solid shape because if I run my hand across it, I'm going to knock it down because this shape slides. just like the cube slides. Then we have the cylinder. How can we describe the cylinder? We know a cylinder has two faces. We also know that face is the flat shape of a circle. Remember, a flat shape, I can run my hand across, but if I stand up this cylinder and I try to run my hand across this cylinder, it's gonna knock down. Just like a sphere, a cylinder has round plates and it can roll. So we know that a sphere and a cylinder can roll, a cone and a cube can slide, but something special about the cone, if you put it down on its side, it can roll too. You can also stack the cone on the cube. You can stack the cylinder on the cube. What solid shape will not stack? The sphere. The sphere cannot stack. If I try to put this sphere on top of the cube, it's going to roll. Let's do some sorting. We reviewed flat shapes and solid shapes. Let's do some sorting. Your teacher in a moment is going to pause the video and decide where these objects, these shapes, should be sorted. You need to determine, are they flat shapes or solid shapes? So we learned this is a circle. We learned circles are flat, so we're going to sort it under flat. This is an ice cream cone. Did you decide this was flat or solid? We learned cones are solid. They have one face and one point. What about this object, this shape? This shape is a sphere. It's a marble. A sphere is round. We're going to move it over to the solid. What about this shape? This shape is a rectangle. A rectangle has 4 corners, 2 long sides, and 2 short sides. How about this shape versus this shape? We know that this is a square, and this looks like a square. However, it's not a square, it's a cube. A cube has 6 faces. That's the shape of a square. So a cube is a 3D shape. That means it takes 6 squares to make a cube. A square is a flat shape. What about this can of soup? This is a cylinder, and it's a solid shape. We learned this shape is a triangle, and we know a triangle is a flat shape with 3 points and 3 sides. In Seesaw, you're going to continue to sort shapes, whether they're flat or solid. Then you're going to be circling flat shapes with the color red and putting a green X on the shapes that are solid shapes. When you're all done, click the green check to submit your work.